Shalom Yeladim. Let's talk about the Chag of Sukkot. A long time ago, when the Bnei Yisrael came out of Mitzrayim, Hashem promised them that he was going to take them to Eretz Yisrael. But there weren't any airplanes and there weren't any trains or cars. The Bnei Yisrael would have to walk through the Midbar, the desert. The Bnei Yisrael knew that the desert was kind of a scary little place. There was lots of sun, lots of sand, many wild animals. There weren't any signs to say where to go. The Bnei Yisrael could get lost. But the Bnei Yisrael knew that Hashem took very good care of them. Hashem was the one who made all the makos in Mitzrayim. Hashem split the sea for them. Hashem was going to take care of them. The Bnei Yisrael said, okay, if Hashem says we're going to go through the desert to get to Eretz Yisrael, we're going to go. Hashem is going to take care of us. And that's what happened. Hashem did take care of them. Hashem brought clouds that were full of nisim, miracles. The clouds surrounded the Bnei Yisrael on all their sides. Let's pretend that this is the Bnei Yisrael. The Abbas, the Imas, the Sabas, the Saptas, the Bubbies, the Zadis, the Kinderlach. Hashem took clouds and put a cloud on each one of these sides. There was a cloud on top of them, a cloud on the bottom, a cloud on the sides, one in front, and one in the back. Each one of the clouds had a job to do. The one in the front, made the way nice and easy and smooth for the Bnei Yisrael to go. The one on the top shielded them from the very hot sun. The one in the back of them protected them from enemies. When their enemies would throw arrows, guess what happened? That arrow would be caught into the cloud, and the cloud would send it back to the enemy. The clouds underneath would take care that there was no scorpions or snakes to bite the Bnei Yisrael. These clouds would even do the laundry for the Bnei Yisrael. Their clothes were washed and grew with them. There weren't any stores for them to go to, so their clothes lasted them for a really long time. And the clouds would show them where to go. They were the messengers of Hashem. Yeladim, if we imagine all these clouds on all their sides, what shape do you see? Do you see a shape of a circle? No. Do you see a shape of a triangle? What shape do you see? I see the shape of a sukkah, of a long rectangle. The clouds were like a sukkah surrounding the Bnei Yisrael and protecting the Bnei Yisrael while they were going and walking through the desert. When the Bnei Yisrael would camp, all the clouds would camp with them. When they would travel, all the clouds would travel with them as well. What a wonderful feeling to be surrounded by the clouds of Hashem. That was a true chesed and a nes gadol, a big miracle that Hashem did for the Bnei Yisrael. And they knew that Hashem was protecting them. There was another sukkah that the Bnei Yisrael had in the Midbar. Do you know what kind of sukkah that was? It was a little house, but not like the houses that we live in. A house that could be built and taken apart easily every time the Bnei Yisrael needed to travel. If they would have a house that was built out of bricks, it would be impossible. It would be so difficult for them to break down their house each time they would travel. So, instead, they built a sukkah. A sukkah is a house that is not standing for a long time. It's called temporary, for a short time. A sukkah can be built up and used, and when it's time to travel, the sukkah can be taken apart and packed and traveled along with the Bnei Yisrael. When we talk about the name of our Chag, we call it Chag HaSukkot. There are two types of Sukkot that we are thinking about when we say the name of this Chag. We're talking about the Sukkah of the clouds that Hashem made for us, and we're talking about the Sukkot that the Bnei Yisrael lived in. They lived in Sukkot, and when they traveled, the Sukkot would be packed up, and when they camped, the Bnei Yisrael put those Sukkot up for them to live. When we say Chag HaSukkot, we remember the two types of Sukkot that the Bnei Yisrael had in the Midbar. When we are sitting in our sukkah, we think about those two Sukkot. Because when the Bnei Yisrael sat in those Sukkot, when they camped, and when they traveled and they had the Sukkot of the Ananim, the clouds around them, they could feel Hashem's protection. They could feel Hashem right there with them. When we're sitting in our sukkah, we feel that Hashem is right there with us too. We feel that He's protecting us, that He's taking care of us. We don't have to be worried that we're not in our house for 7 days. We're able to sleep in the sukkah. We're able to eat in the sukkah, play in the sukkah, have orchim in our sukkah, just like we would be living in our house. And we know that Hashem is taking care of us, that Hashem is right there with us all during these 7 days. Wow, Yiladim. Let's remember that feeling of closeness to Hashem that we have during Sukkot, we can even take with us when we come back into our houses after Sukkot. Because Hashem is always taking care of us and always watching us. We just have to trust Him. We just have to know that He is there. Let's talk about more in our next video.